That was Time by Pink Floyd. Welcome to the Rise Weekly Review for April 26th through May 3rd, 2021. In our top story, a shooting on Monday the 27th in the bush left two cousins wounded. The shooting occurred around 9:30 p.m. when the two boys, aged 13 and 14, had left a friend's house to go to a cousin's with a group of people. They were walking on the 8200 block of Coles when, according to reports, someone in a red Jeep Cherokee drove up and began firing shots. The 14-year-old, identified as Randall Archie, was taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center. The 13-year-old, identified as Swazi Rankin, was shot in the back and abdomen. He was taken to Comer Children's Hospital. Rankin was known in the area after saving the life of 10-year-old Lamia Sparks after a shooting in October. After seeing her shot, Rankin had stopped a bullet wound in her back from bleeding until the ambulance arrived using his shirt. Both young teens were reported in critical condition when taken to the hospital, but were both expected to recover. On Wednesday the 28th, a 22-year-old man was shot in South Chicago. According to police, the man was involved in a fight in a basement apartment on the 8700 block of South Marquette. The fight occurred around 9:40 a.m., during which someone opened fire. The man was struck in the thigh. He was taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center. No further information was reported on his condition. A series of shootings in South Shore left several wounded over the weekend. On Saturday, a 14-year-old boy was wounded in a South Shore shooting. The shooting occurred around 7:05 p.m. on the 7200 block of Blackstone. According to reports, the boy was on the sidewalk when he heard gunshots and felt pain. The boy was shot in the hand and calf and received a graze wound to the head. He was transported to Comer Children's Hospital and last reported in good condition. In another South Shore shooting, a 51-year-old woman was wounded on Sunday. The woman was driving on the 200 block of East 75th Street around 1:30 a.m. when her windshield was shattered by a bullet. The bullet reportedly struck her in the hand. She was last reported in good condition at the University of Chicago Hospital. Later Sunday morning, another shooting in South Shore left a 26-year-old man wounded. The shooting occurred on the 7500 block of Stony Island, around the block from Jackson Park Hospital. The man was driving his car around 3:05 a.m. when he heard several shots and began feeling pain. The man sustained 4 gunshot wounds. He was last reported in critical condition at Jackson Park Hospital. A 19-hour standoff in Calumet City resulted in a peaceful arrest. The standoff occurred following an altercation between two men near a Calumet City mobile home. The home was located on the 100 block of Maple Court. The incident began around 1:30 p.m. Sunday following a fight between two men, a 62-year-old and a 52-year-old. The 52-year-old man reportedly shot the 62-year-old and barricaded himself in a home. The South Suburban Emergency Task Force was activated and a SWAT team was called to the scene. According to witnesses, shots were heard coming from inside the trailer. Officers did not return fire and negotiators were brought in before the suspect surrendered. Because of the proximity of the incident to the expressway, police shut down the Bishop Ford between Sibley and Dalton until 3:30 a.m. In an update to a previous story, a man is facing charges for shooting a 17-year-old in East Chicago. The shooting occurred on Thursday, April 22nd on the 14800 block of Magoon Avenue. According to reports, the teen and another person were in a black car when a man walked over to talk to them. Minutes later, witnesses reported hearing multiple gunshots and a man was seen running away. The victim was hit multiple times in the face from the shots. 53-year-old Heriberto Flores was arrested by police for the shooting. He was charged for the shooting on Thursday. In other news, residents caught a glimpse of a porch pirate in South Deering during the week. The man, who was wearing a black and red jacket and a skull cap, was caught on video exiting a vehicle and walking to the front gate of a home. From there, he entered the gate and went to the home's front porch, where he began grabbing Amazon packages that were recently delivered. The man then proceeds to exit the premises with the packages before returning to his vehicle. Porch piracy is a term used to describe this growing problem. According to a 2019 report, an estimated 36% of Americans have experienced porch piracy at least once. As there are no ways to stop porch pirates, security specialists recommend people install deterrents like security cameras, monitoring signs, and remain vigilant. Companies are attempting to develop smart devices to reduce theft, but many are not widely used. On Sunday, residents shared video of the aftermath of a brawl in Hegewisch. The brawl reportedly involved a large group of people and began outside the fire station located at 13359 South Burley. According to reports, the brawl for a time had spilled into the fire station. Police were seen at the scene. No further information was provided. During the week, shocking images were shared of the current COVID crisis impacting India. According to reports, India began seeing a large spike in the number of cases. Over the week, India reported nearly 2.6 million cases, as the number of known deaths for the week reached over 23,000. India is estimated to have seen around 226,000 deaths from COVID in total, although that number now is expected to grow by huge margins. While the number of total cases in India are still below that of the United States, India is expected to be hit even harder as the resources in most of rural India are far from those in the US. Throughout the week, hospitals in India have begun running out of supplies as nations throughout the world began sending donations to aid in India's response. Vaccines in India have been in short supply as politicians and vaccine manufacturers blame each other for the shortages and spikes in cases. India is considered a developing nation and home to over 1.3 billion people, many of whom live far below the international poverty line, which averages to about $1.90 a day or $638 a year. In other news, during the week, the Chicago Office of Police Accountability, COPA, released video of another controversial shooting. In the video, an officer is seen chasing a 22-year-old man identified as Anthony Alvarez in Portage Park. In video, Alvarez was seen walking with a shopping bag through a gas station when police attempted to pull him aside for what they call an investigatory stop. He is later seen running after tossing the bags. As officers chase Alvarez from an alley to a residential street, an officer pulls out his weapon and opens fire, several times striking Alvarez in the back. Video shows Alvarez with the phone in one hand and a gun in the other as he ran. Alvarez is heard on video asking officers why they shot him, as the officer responds, "Because you had a gun." The officer is then heard telling another to handcuff Alvarez. CPD released an edited version of the video that focuses attention to the gun. Concerns were raised as CPD did not show that slow motion video captured the officer beginning to open fire as Alvarez was running with his back faced to the officer and only began turning after the shots were fired. The video has sparked protests from family and community members. The officer, identified as a 6-year veteran of the CPD, was identified as Evan Solano, is currently on a 30-day paid leave, and COPA has asked that he be stripped of his police powers pending the results of the investigation into the incident. In other local news, a caravan of supporters of former U.S. President Donald Trump came to Hammond on Saturday. Many from the group came from Evansville in downstate Indiana to protest the home of Hammond Mayor Thomas McDermott, Jr. The protests were in response to an incident following the removal of a flag that said "Fuck Joe Biden" from the home of a man identified as Roy Stefan. According to reports, Stefan was asked to remove the flag for code violations. Hammond ordinance bans the public display of obscene material. Stefan claims McDermott threatened to send code enforcement officers to go look for any violations at his home if the flag was not removed. McDermott claims his concerns were that the flag was placed near a public park where children play and apologized to Stefan. The caravan, led by the Young Conservatives of southern Indiana, grew to as large as 50 protesters. The group claimed the mayor was anti-Trump. A small group of counter-protesters gathered to support the mayor, claiming that the issue was about local laws.
In a country where across the street from parks you see the F word. I don't want to live in a country where across the street from a church it says "fuck Catholics." I don't want to be in that country, and I think this is a stand to take. Every community should set their standards. In the city of Hammond, I don't want the F word flying across from parks, or across from churches, or across from anything. Schools, there's no limit. This is about the word. Mr. Ray has 9 flags on his property. We're talking about one flag. It's got the F word on it. He still has the other 8 flying. With God bless him, right? So, if he wants to put up a flag that says Mayor Tom sucks, I have no problem with that. Just don't put an F word on a flag, okay?
And finally, 10th Ward Alderwoman Susan Sadlowski Garza's office, in collaboration with the City of Chicago, Cook County Commissioner Stanley Moore, and COVID Express Care, is hosting a COVID vaccination event on the East Side. The event will take place beginning on Thursday the 7th and will run through the 9th at the Zone located at 11731 South Avenue O. Vaccines are available for 1,000 residents. The Moderna vaccine, which is a 2-dose vaccine, will be distributed at the site, and second-dose appointments will be scheduled. The event is open to anyone over the age of 18, regardless of immigration or residential status. You can register for an appointment by visiting the URL tinyurl.com/COVIDModerna or calling 312-262-6768. And that ends our weekly review for April 26th through May 3rd, 2021. Thank you for joining us for this week in review. Peace.